Howdy partners, this is Kiram with Massive Effect Marketing, massiveeffectmarketing.com. We help you move up in the Google. So I want to show you a little bit of introductory lesson here on SEO, search engine optimization. Basically, some factors. There's over 100 different factors that Google has when it's weighing a website. Now we're not going to go over all 100 in this video, but I want to touch on a few of them just to get you an idea of how SEO works and then how you can use this on your website. So let's just begin. Probably the biggest factor is going to be amount of text on your page, right? So amount of text, very important, right? You don't just want 100 words on a page. That page will have very little weight, right? So we want to have a good amount of text, 500 words plus. 1,000 is better, and even over 1,000 is even better. The more words there are on the page, the more Google's going to understand the page and the more value it's going to give that page. You know, a page that has 2,000 words of unique text will have more value to Google than a page that just has this much. So you need to have a good amount of text. The text needs to be unique. All right, it can't be copied from other pages. A way you can find out is by taking a piece of text. It has to be long enough. Go to Google, put quotes, paste it in. In this case, I took kind of a small snippet, so let me see if I can get one. It's a little longer. If this text is totally unique, then it shouldn't appear on any other website. So let's try that here. So in this case, we've got a few results. So we have some duplicate content, it looks like. So the text is on this page, and either the author of this page wrote it, and then all these guys copied it. So that could be what happened here. Either way, you need to make sure that you don't copy other people's content, that it's all unique for you. Next, it needs to be relevant. All right, so this website is all about, well, it's about home improvement, construction, and more specifically, architectural foam, all right? Making these little thingamabobs. Now, if they were talking about like party foam or, I don't know, chocolate foam, that's not gonna work with Google. So this is an architectural foam and art website, and they need to talk about that type of area. If they have pages about Justin Bieber, or if they have pages about party foam machines, that's not going to work for them, and Google is going to think that's peculiar. So you need to have your text relevant. You don't just put any old text on your website, all right? It's got to be relevant, and it has to be unique. You wrote it and related to you. So, and it has to be useful. A good point with that is you might have seen text that just reads a little bit weird. Like it has so many keywords in it that it just kind of seems odd. This is a good example of that, where there's some paragraphs in here that mention electrician so many times, not these, but I think it's on another page, where they're just putting in too many keywords. That's going to be weird. That won't be very useful because it's just basically lists of keywords. So the content has to be useful, it needs to be quality, all right? So this is a huge part of SEO, all right? Having enough text, right? Having it unique, meaning not copied from somewhere else. Having it relevant, meaning on topic to your company, and then actually being useful. This is a huge part of SEO, these 4 factors. So every page needs to have text around that. And then, other points, every page needs a unique title. This is the title up here. We click over here, we'll see the title change. Homeowners Architectural Foam, Foam Products, Products Architectural Foam. So this is called the title, and it's very important. And this is what Google really summarizes your page when it looks at this. This is what gives Google the summary of your page, this little piece of text. So it's super important. It's called the title. Another thing every page must have is a heading 1. Heading 1. And that would be this guy, really big heading. That also gives Google a hint as to what your page is about. It kind of reinforces it. All right, heading 1 is important. Then you have subheadings. So heading 2, heading 3, subheadings. Google looks at these also to get an idea of what your page is about. And these are some subheadings right here. These could be heading 2s or heading 3s. Also an important SEO factor. Another important factor is, let's put these over here, every page. Enough text. And then general, keyword in the domain, you really can't go wrong with, right? These guys are putting, the name of the company is Architectural Foam and Art, which is also the search term, which is also the website name, right? Massive effect, that's not a search term. People who want marketing aren't searching for the word massive effect, but people who are searching for architectural foam are searching for that, and this website has it in the website name, in the domain name, and that is a bonus for one of your SEO factors. Google does look at that. Is the keyword in the actual domain name? So sometimes it doesn't work, right? Sometimes it does. It's up to you. If you already have a website name, a domain name, you can change it. Let's say you have a gutter cleaning company and you guys are called allamericanhomeservices.com. Well, you would do better if it was allamericanguttering-services.com because you're trying to rank for gutter cleaning. So if you can get your keyword into your domain name, you should, because it'll give you an extra boost in the Google. Next is keyword in the page name or file name. For instance, so this is not a good example. How about SendDcon? Here we go. So this is a cleanup crew. This is the file name, unattended death cleanup. So they've got their keyword in the file name. Here's an example of not a keyword in the file name, right? Past projects. It's past projects of the architectural foam stuff, but they would get a little bit more boost from Google if they had the keyword in the file name. Over here at SendDcon, they're putting the keyword in the file name, so Google's going to think, okay, this page has a lot to do with unintended death cleanup because that's the name of the page. Whereas this page called Past Projects 2, well, that could be about anything, right? So it's just going to give you a little more boost. So that's something, keyword in the page/file name. Other things, generally interlinking. This is pretty important. Let's go back to the home page. Now what I mean by that is this. Normally you have your top navigation, right, up here. Got your horizontal nav, as we say, the top nav. And this has all the pages of your site typically. But there's going to be pages that you can't find from up here. Depending, like you may have so many pages that just doesn't make sense. For instance, there's a blog, but they're not listing out all the blog pages. Now, the more you link to a page in your site, the more importance you're going to give it. So if we go to the blog here, and we see all these great blog articles, if they're not linked to anywhere else, Google's not going to regard them as super important, right? Now, here's the thing. These pages are not super important. They're not as important as, you know, like these top pages, but you don't want them to be disregarded. So what you need to do is you need to link to them in other places. So back here on the home page, you should find opportunities to link to your other pages in your own text, right? So if one of these pages on the blog that we just looked at was about exterior trim, you know, we should link exterior trim right here to that blog page. Then we're going to send Google a signal, hey, our blog page has a bit of importance because we're linking to it in our text. So that would be interlinking, internal links they like to call them. So you should definitely do that. We've got it going on here a little bit, right? So that is another SEO factor. Now everything we're talking about right now is on-page SEO. These are things that you edit on your website that will help you in Google. There are things you can do that are not on your website that can help you in Google, such as getting reviews, right? Getting Google reviews, getting people to link to you. For instance, like if I was here on the contact page and then it would make more sense. Like, let's say I have a blog article, right? And on this blog article, I'm talking about some other company in some industry, and then I link to them. I put in this text a link to somebody else's website. That would be off-page SEO. I would be helping that website by putting a link in my text to their website. That's going to help them. All right, that's off-page SEO. Everything we're talking about is on-page and things you can do on your website right now. So those are some points. Let's go back to the home page. A no-brainer is to get your security certificate. All right, SSL, security certificate. If you don't have one, you'll get a slight penalization by the Google. Another thing is to be mobile friendly. Your site has to be mobile friendly. If it's not, it will get penalized. Let's do a quick mobile friendly. And then speed. We'll go over to GT metrics. If your site is slow, it'll also get penalized. So you got to get your site mobile friendly and you got to get your site fast. So fast loading website and mobile friendly website. All right. These are more on-page SEO factors. So GT metrics is free. You can dump your website into it. Take a look. It'll analyze. And then this is Google's mobile friendly test. So apparently it was only 3 seconds to load, but for whatever reason it's red. Oh, they've changed their interface. That's interesting. They used to have a very different interface on this website. So pretty darn good load time. Mobile friendly, although the rendering looks a little bit weird. So those are also some SEO factors. What are some other items? How about keyword density? Keyword density. This is very important. So let's say I'm all about the architectural foam, but I don't mention it anywhere in my content somehow. Somehow it just doesn't come out. And I've seen this. I just looked at a website the other day. Architectural foam. So if I press Control F in the browser and start typing in down here, highlight all, we're going to see all the matches, and there's 15 matches for architectural foam. So is this too much or too little or just enough? I would say, considering that there's 800 to 1,000 words on this page, having it appear 15 times is probably okay. But I wouldn't put any more than that, because you can always put too many keywords. If you start putting too many, Google will note that, and it looks like you're trying to game the system and say, hey Google, architectural phone, blah, blah, blah. We're everything about it. You should make us #1 because we're going to mention it 100 times on this webpage. Don't do that. Another example is over here. Control F, electrician, 76 matches. All right. Too much. You're going to get a red flag from the Google. So keyword density has to be very chill. There is no published number. All right. There's no article by Google saying you can only have 1 keyword per paragraph. You just have to use your judgment. As long as the paragraph reads like normal wordage, like normal English, then you're good to go. But if it feels weird, like, are you ready to embark upon an architectural foam new journey in architectural foam design, you know, and ready to make your architectural foam vision a reality, blah, 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 blah. So just stuffing it in over and over, that reads pretty weird. So don't do that. Keep it natural. I mean, it doesn't say this anywhere, but I try to not put more than 1 per paragraph of the keyword. So keyword density, very important. And if you don't put any at all, then Google's not gonna know that you have anything to do with it. So you do have to have your keywords in there. All right, other items to look at. The page needs to be readable. I mean, indexable, crawlable. Actually, what we say is crawlable. Crawlable? We call Google is actually a spider. We call it the Google spider. It crawls through pages like a spider. And it looks at pages like this. It looks through all the code, and it checks it all out, and it looks for your text to understand what your website's about by looking at the content. So Google crawls through all your pages, and if your page is made in such a way where it can't actually read any of this, if it's all like funky stuff like this, and it's not actual wordage, right? Like you see this wordage, these words. It could be, for instance, like back in the day, there were some programs where you can make a website, but all of your content, all of your words were not visible inside this mode. So Google couldn't actually see anything, so your website was empty. So your web pages have to be crawlable, all right? And readable. Google has to be able to find the pages and to read the text. All right. So there's actually a little more complexity to it than that, but long story short, your content has to be visible to Google in the code like this. All right. Like there's some like websites that have a lot of interactivity and graphics and stuff like that, where it actually, the way it's made is the text won't be visible. Long story. Anyway, moving on. Another thing is you need to have enough pages. Huge point. This is really important. If you just have a 5-page website, Google really isn't going to care a whole lot about you. You know, who cares? A home page, about, contact, FAQ, whatever. You need to have a lot more content than that. So 5 pages won't really cut it. If you want to dominate in SEO, you need to make a lot more than 5 pages. You should think with a page a week in a blog, right? Like over here. Get a blog going, a page a week, 500 words. Then you're going to show Google that you're dominating and you're not just a 5-page website. You're more than that. You're a source of knowledge in your area. So Google will eventually take note, and you'll have much more content than your competition, and that's going to help a lot. So this is a key point. So you need to have enough pages and regularly adding more. So continuous creation of quality content, all right? Continuous creation of quality content, that is very important for your SEO. Let's come back to the home page. There's a whole bunch of things that you shouldn't do, which we probably won't get into in this video, but I'll tell you one. You don't want to do anything weird. For instance, buying fake Google reviews, right? Because Google reviews will help you rank higher, and you can actually buy them. You can go onto Fiverr.com, for instance, right? And pay some dude in Pakistan, pay him $50, and he's going to give you 50 authentic Google reviews. That is a very big no-no, because Google is not stupid, and it's all the time, learning better ways to combat that kind of stuff. So you want to keep it real. You don't want to mess around with Google by doing what we would call black hat SEO. So like buying reviews, for instance. Really bad idea. You do need Google reviews, but you have to get them from real people, from people you've actually worked with. So that's a pretty big SEO don't. Make sure you don't do that. These are some of the major factors. There's definitely more. There's factors such as the wording that you use in your links, right? So having the keyword in the link is an important point. We call that anchor text. So the words that are, these words that you see, curb appeal package, is called the anchor text of the link, right? The link is where it's going to go, right? Over here to curb appeal. But the wordage is called curb appeal package. That's called anchor text. And you get you'll get a little bit of a boost if you've got your keywords in this text that's being linked, as opposed to click here, right? If this just said click here, it won't have as much, it'll have a little less oomph, so to speak. All right. Another one, which is, very minor, but still a factor, is if the text is bold. All right. By boldening text, you're putting emphasis on it, and Google looks at that as well. This text must be important because it's bold. Now, that doesn't mean, okay, great, let's bold the whole page. Yeah, it doesn't quite work. Google's not stupid. So, do it sparingly, but it's not going to make much of a difference. It's just one of the, 100+ things that Google is going to look at when it's weighing your site, right? Bold text. Also italics, right? So we go on and on and on with all these optimizations. There's even more, but I don't think I want to bore you to death. Maybe bore you. I think we've sufficiently done it. So if you want some help, come on down, massiveeffectmarketing.com. We can take care of you, move you up in the Google so you get more sales and stop bleeding cash on marketing that doesn't work. Don't be shy, massiveeffectmarketing.com. Take a look at your website. If you're watching this, you can put your domain name in the comments, and then we can do a little video for you, so for free. So go ahead and do that. Until then, if you have any questions, don't be shy. Feel free to ask, and I'll see you next time. All right. Thanks a lot, and take care.